Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Gimmick, the bonus episode this month. Whenever it might be a couple bonus episodes because wrestling is just hot right now. And there's lots to talk about, but luckily, I'm Tress now. I'm joined by the incomparable David. David, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm awake. This show ended earlier than I thought, so I am
hmm
happy about it.
Yes, so we're gonna. That's all we're talking about right now is just WrestleMania. We won't blow through, but we'll, some if there's something that doesn't need to be talked about, like something like the Snoop Dogg stuff, we'll probably skip over. But
Yeah.
luckily, man, this is a fun one. All the links, everything you know, that's down below. You know what to do there. We're gonna go through this, but there's been so many times I feel like, especially with Trash told you when I did wrestling things, I always tried to time them with pay-per-views, but then the times where they're a bonus or I went to the side, it's always like bad news, right? And obviously this was gonna happen because WrestleMania, everything like that, but it feels so good to come on the air and be talking about just being happy with the WWE product. Now, I'm not saying over the years you couldn't have been. I'm not saying there hasn't been great matches or moments, but this is like as bad. Like I would say it's funny. It happens in 10 years. The last time probably was Daniel Bryan. The time before that was the ending of 20. Like there's just these moments in time where you go, man, is it ever going to reach that height again? And what's nice about this moment, especially which we'll get into because we talked about last night, like new era, everything like that, it's nice that this doesn't feel like this is probably it. When we got those good moments before, it'd be like, oh, well, Vince was into this time, this month, this day. And then here we go. Like when Daniel Bryan won, he was never really the guy, right? Even when Benoit and Eddie won, they got their titles, but they weren't the guys. Went back to Triple H or they were getting ready for Batista or Cena, right? Like there's
Yeah.
always like, they give us that nice moment of like, oh yeah, you wrestling little marks, you can have your guy you like, and then we're gonna go there. We're gonna get to the big guy or big guy, whoever it may be. But this time, and this is what I tweeted a little bit ago, because yes, Cody, he grew up in the WWE system, everything like that, but then he left, and everyone knows the story. But if you look at all the faces between Hogan, Cena, Stone Cold, Rock, Roman, they all are themselves, of course. They all bring things to the character, but they are still WWE made, right? It's like a complete partnership where, like Bruce Pritchard said years ago, and even Vince, they said, we want to buy the American Nightmare product. And for Cody, a guy who built the American Nightmare, went to AEW, like you and I lived through the WCW era, how many times would it be, oh, well, he's a WCW guy, so we can't like give
Yeah.
him the full ball, right? But tonight, and again, it is a new era because Triple H doing thing, but Cody Rhodes has finished the story. He won the WWE Championship in a crazy main event, which we're going to get to. But David, what are your initial thoughts on? It's like I'd say, I guess, a 2 year journey, but it's much. It's much. If you've been following Cody's career, this feels like a. Whenever he stepped foot in the ring, that's when that journey started. Really, I don't know how long it was, 16 years ago, whatever. But it's been decades of a journey. Even if you want to talk about back to Dusty, and we're finally here. What was like? What was that like for you?
It was great. I mean, he left WWE in May of 2016 and has taken us on a ride
Yeah.
since.
Changed the
In
business too, not just like, oh, just his career stuff. Like, it literally changed business with other people.
Yeah, and it's very rare to see someone who leaves, makes a name for themselves, says, I'm going to show you that I'm worthy of this, goes on an all out war, comes back and gets pushed to this pedestal consistently. Not
Yeah.
here's your moment. All right, shut up. We gave you your guy.
Yeah.
Now leave us alone so we can get back to our guy.
Yeah.
This is consistently giving us what we want.
Yeah, it was it was just nice because I will give them kudos. They multiple times I still always thought Cody was going to win, but Cody was pulling out some like old school Attitude Era Rock shoulder finishes because Rock used to be the master at. If you go back watch WrestleMania 17, his shoulder versus Austin, so many times he's so good at just up at the last second. Cody hit me with a couple of those. I was like, oh my god, and you never know, right? Because like there's been so even last year, and I know now people might say like, oh, it's good he didn't win last year. I think now in retrospect I can say that, but at the same time, if Vince or other creative people was here, we don't know if this would have happened, right? We were very lucky that a lot of things happened. Obviously, not for anything that the guy had done. That shouldn't have happened that way. But I mean, like in this stage, I feel like you could equate to this. Seeing at the end, you got everyone together, and then you're seeing like Triple H and Cody together. This is something we've talked about for years. This is something like once the NXT Black and Gold era starts, like man, I can't wait till one day this could happen. And there's multiple times where it looked like Triple H might not even be creative or up top, right? So it's just like it's so great to see this. And this was the stamping of okay, it is a new era now. Because if Roman just won, I see the appeal. The bloodline is hot, Roman's hot. You can break Hogan's record, you can do all this stuff, but then it's just kind of okay, it's same old, same old. And then who's the next guy? And then there's not, right? So this was a full on like it can't be taken away. Even not that I would want this. I don't need Cody to lose tomorrow, but even if not, it can't be taken away. And I don't with the presentation they gave him, it does not feel like the Daniel Bryans or the one-offs like we were just talking about, where it's like, okay, you got your moment, be happy. Now we're gonna get back to track. Like, okay, here you go. I'm not gonna say Jack, but someone from NXT. Like this is the person from the PC, but yeah, it was bravo all the way around. And what I said to Emily too is I love that they were off air but on air for a long time. So many times we get to see that maybe from some shitty iPhone footage or something like
Yeah.
that. They just stuck with it. It was just honestly it was pretty much perfect. There's only one thing that wasn't perfect for me, but that's not even anything to do with the match. It's just who they could get, and I guess someone couldn't show up because I thought there was a clear moment that was like, oh, you're the backup legend, but that's okay. It was still cool, but it's definitely, I don't know match wise, but as far as important or just well done big time main events, it's going to go down as something really special. And they had to deliver. It's WrestleMania 40, right? If they would have botched this, the whole new era slogan, it would mean really nothing, you know?
And it takes me back to last year. Again, it sucked when you heard it, but Triple H said last year, and he's been saying since, trust the process, trust the process. And again, as a Cody fan, that was hard to digest, but
Yes.
man, did they deliver.
And that's the tough thing, right? Because we've been told that before. The classic saying of let it play out. And as WWE fans, we have let it play out before and it goes really bad. You know, it plays out in the wrong way. So it takes a lot for that's why everyone's like, oh, don't worry. And even this year, like, look at what happened. 2 months ago, this was not the plan, right? This was probably the plan for WrestleMania 41, but 2 months ago the plan was Rock and Roman WrestleMania. So that's where it's like even in trusting the process, there was still never a for sure this was going to happen, and I think it did end up being the best route with the final boss and Roman and the bloodline. Like people were saying it was going to happen, and they did make this Avengers Endgame. That's what this was. It was Avengers Endgame, a bunch of people coming out, but I also appreciated. I'd have to look at when Jimmy came in, but it felt like, am I wrong in saying it was probably about 15 minutes before interferences? Like, I feel like they got a good amount of time before
They got a
banana
good amount
sandwich.
of time, and that was in my notes for the matches. They got a good amount of time, and I was very happy that they got a good amount of time to just have a pure back
Yeah.
and forth wrestling match before everything came in. It wasn't just the whole he's battling from the start. No, it
Mhm.
they had a pure match before everything started happening, and then it all happened in succession. So it wasn't a rest period, rest period. They were like, look, we gave you your match, now we're giving you your
Yeah.
gimmick. Then they ended back on the match.
Because I was worried when they started pulling the kendo sticks and tables right away. I was like, because they did maybe 2 to 3 minutes of some wrestling. I'm not counting the aura where they stand around and stare. That's of course part of the match, but that's something else. But they went to the weapons quick, and I was like, oh, like I get it, because the argument could be, okay, last year was like the wrestling classic match, and this year's going to be the whole brawl and everything. But I was glad, like, great heel heat. Roman puts the table back. They only use the kendo stick from the cheat, but I was worried. It's like, oh, I don't want to get into weapon warfare and the interferences right away, because I think the building up to it worked, because it built up to it in a way where I think we all knew people were coming out, but it's almost like the crowd forgot about that, right? They got sewn in the match, and then once people started coming out, it was that, oh shit, we're about to get some really good stuff coming right now, you know?
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't go all out with it at first. You
Yeah.
had Jimmy and you had Jay and you had Solo. That was the start, and then everything else progressively made sense. So
Mhm.
having Cena come after Solo, then
Yes.
having Rock come after Cena, Seth coming out with the Shield thing. Now,
Broken Seth. That was so great. He gets up there, one shot done. And he
I
sold so
wonder
much after. Even while Cody was selling, he was still like, oh my God, my
I wonder
body.
if Seth is legitimately injured, and so they had to kind of change what he did so that it was just to come out and get the Superman punch. Because yeah, poor
Yeah.
Seth, and KO was helping him in the ring during the celebration. I was like, oh man, poor Seth. But yeah, Seth getting his, and then Taker out of the backup superstar that they had to go.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah.
Austin hasn't made it to the venue yet. They went up to the suites and got Taker. Was like, we need you to run down here, bro.
Like, which was smart because I didn't think we were gonna get Taker because he was up there. I know Taker was there, and there was some talks like, okay, he's up there. That's not gonna happen. And it's weird because even that tweet that Triple H sent was like at 316. So there was like a bunch of stuff that and it sucks that at the end of the day, I'm definitely not gonna complain because it's all fine. And the way I had canon is everybody would always refer to Undertaker as the judge of the locker room, right? Like the locker room leader. So I'm fine with headcanon of he saw this as the guy of the old era who was the leader. He's like, this is bullshit. I got to step in. So that's why I'm going to headcanon. I'm sure they might even do that because he was always the guy. If you look back, they'd always say if you had a problem, you went to Undertaker and he would settle with the talent, whatever. He was the guy that threatened Shawn Michaels' life that if he didn't do business at WrestleMania with Austin,
gonna tape up.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so that's how for a long-term fan, I can headcanon and go, okay, he's the legendary, the old school leader saying, no, enough is enough. But that was definitely Austin's spot. That was definitely the way they set it up from like you said, Jimmy to Jay to Solo to Cena Rock, which like I loved the way they did it because I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I love that they had it. It was Rock and Cena, third in a lifetime. We got that stare down. They redid the aura standoff and everything. I didn't think that. I just thought, oh, it's just gonna be a schmoz with everybody interfering. But no, I love that. And Undertaker, it's out of nowhere. I wish the glass break would have happened because that really would have been full circle on the bloodline stuff because it's like the first enemy the Rock really made is coming back. But it's okay because it's like people still fucking love Undertaker, right? My kids were going nuts for it, so it was good. And then I don't know what my favorite part is, but as of right now, which is crazy because I'm a Cody guy, he's the guy that legitimately got me watching WWE. I'm gonna stick to my word. Now they knighted him. I'm back full time. I'm gonna be watching the product full time. I'm gonna learn. I like even tonight. I was like, "That's Bailey's finish." I didn't even know if Bailey's finish was this like whatever weird head stomp smash thing, which we'll get into. What is it called? It's like it's like Rosebud.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Rosebud. Yeah,
Rosebud
it's
Impaler.
something
Yeah,
stupid,
it's
but
weird, but that's where for me, and that's why it's important because I stopped. I'd watch pay-per-views, of course. I watched Mania, but I stopped watching WWE full time until Cody came back, and even then, I wasn't full time because there was some still questionable booking going on. But what is another just great full circle moment? Everything from Seth and Roman tagging last night, the Shield, and Seth came on the Shield gear. But man, that's what for me is the best part of the match is what cost Roman Reigns. He finally wanted to fucking get back at Seth Rollins. They had this moment where everything's gone down. Seth got Superman punch, so he's loopy. Cody's on one side holding the ropes. Seth's on the other side holding the ropes. Roman has a chair and he's looking at Cody, but then he sees Seth, and it's that replaying of the Shield where Seth hit Roman, and that was such a great moment because in that back then, everyone thought it was going to be Ambrose that was going to turn, right? No one thought Seth. So this great full circle of Roman finally gets his comeuppance. He finally gets a big F you to Seth Rollins, but it like his ego cost him the title, which it fits with the tribal chief head of the table guy, right? Because he thinks he could do both. He think he can get back at Seth and beat Cody. He had to choose, and he chose wrong. And it was so good. And then at last, what was it? The last Crossroads when Cody's just shaking him. That full circle moment was just that's cinema.
Yeah. To be in the arena as he stood up for that third one and he's giving the shake and you can just tell he is fired up. He knows what's coming next. The arena is on its feet. That was a perfect way to end it.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Great match, great story, great cameos. It was everything. That is the type of match that to me, with a lot of casuals that do tune for WrestleMania, but just the whole weekend in general. But that's why you want. I'm not saying the bad guy can never win at WrestleMania. I think there was a time where we had 3 WrestleManias in a row. Well, I guess that didn't happen with Brock, but it was years of a row of just bloodline interferes, LOL, Roman wins, right? I think that was some of the thing that was getting on people's nerves. It's not that Roman was winning. It was just always the same finish of it was either a super kick or a spike into a spear, and then it was over. There were like even this last year, that's all it was. Roman's defenses with Jay, with LA Knight, with the Rumble, it was all of them were interference, and that's what was weird because when they first started with Roman, if anyone doesn't remember, he beat Braun Strowman and Bray. Like he did kind of cheat a little, but still he just kind of beat them up with a chair. He had many defenses where he didn't cheat, and then there was like a pivot halfway through the Bloodline story where he's a heel like he's a real heel champion where he has to cheat, take corners and stuff. So I think that's where it came down, but even they did the solo spike Cody kicked out. They did the solo spike into a spear and he kicked out. So I was, yeah, to me, this is the type of match and ending for a WrestleMania that brings on new people that go, oh, this is something I want to watch. This is something I want to see. And they've been very smart, as I'm sure that sure in the Discord, that it says the story continues. Because that is the thing, right? Everyone's, oh, well, when you finish the story, what do you do? It's just like, that now is like one we've talked about last night. There's so much you can do, but that's smart for them to embed that in of like, oh, don't go away, because now it's like there's got to be more. I imagine we might probably get a Cody Roman rematch. I've been thinking SummerSlam. I don't know if you agree with that. Do you think they're going to do the third, or you think they'll leave it as it is with this?
I think that they're going to leave it alone for a while. I think
Yeah.
that Roman's probably going to take some time, and they are going to let some other members of the bloodline kind of step up, and then Roman's going to come back and be a part of this. But I think they're going to give it some time. I don't think they're going to go straight to it, because
Yeah.
it will be kind of hard after this long reign to get straight back into it. But at least if they let it breathe for a little bit, let him have some other challengers, they may do that at SummerSlam, but I have a feeling they wait just a little bit longer. I could see more of Survivor Series.
Yeah, November. Yeah, that could be a bit longer. That could make sense because what is that? That's May, June, July. Yeah, it is only 4 months. I think too, if it didn't come off as like as epic as it did, I think then I was more in that mindset. But with the ending, it is almost a match too, where if they said we're never going to do Cody and Roman again, I'd be fine with it too. It's like this is a good place to leave it. Like don't do, because now like the first. Because I just think now the third one would just be Cody winning, right? And I don't know what the drama would be there. I feel like it'd be bloodline drama, but maybe against Roman. I don't know. So I'm kind of fine if they leave it as, Cody or Roman won last year, Cody won this year. They move on. We did hear from at least Fightful. We don't know more, but apparently Jacob Fatu has signed. So that's what I was going to ask you. Now that we got this, we didn't get any, which I'm very happy with. No double agent Rock. I do think that was on the board at one time, but I think they saw how good the reception and Rock was, which also my only other complaint. When the Rock came out and he's swearing, just let him swear. You're on a PLE. Who cares at this point? At one point, there was like 10 seconds. It was just dead air. My kids kept asking, "Oh, why? What's going on?" Like, just let it go. Like at that point, it's like it's the finale. Who cares?
He swore last night. Just let it happen. Now,
Yeah.
if this is the replays, then okay. But it's the
Yes.
PLEs. Just let it happen. That's like when I was a kid. When you'd watch Stone Cold come out on the USA Network, that they would bleep him, and they would, um,
try to blur the fingers sometimes,
yeah,
or
try
like
and blow.
cut
But
the hands off.
when you watch the pay-per-view, you saw it all.
Yeah.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, and I get it that it's on Peacock and everything, but yeah, I just think that they should have. And again, minor complaint. I'm not sure, maybe on the actual replay if they might kind of take that out or edit it out. But and I do have the scrum not up, I'm not watching, but I have like notifications. So anything big gets talked about. But Cody just took the panel and he's got his title. Man, he looked good. The entrances were both just they had the juice. Cody looking like this weird cross of Triple H and, and I don't know, the Statue of Liberty. I liked it though. It was great. We got the Brandy appearance. Also another person that didn't get involved in the match, and that there's maybe another surprise too. This whole weekend we never got Mama Rhodes slapping the Rock. I thought that was a shoe-in to happen.
Me too. I am shocked that Mama Rose didn't get physically involved, especially after the whole thing about her jumping the guardrail and slapping
Yes.
the security guard and everything like that. I would have assumed she would have at least got a slap in or something physical on somebody. And the fact that she didn't, I don't know, maybe that was her choice or not, but it just seemed like a missed opportunity.
So this is where I'm gonna pitch you then. If we don't get, because I know he's gonna go off film movie, but if we don't get Roman Cody, do you think it's more likely we get Cody and Rock? And I wonder in that scenario if that's a post Romans out of the bloodline. And man, wouldn't that be a fun full circle moment if The Rock is doing what Roman's doing? He's cheating, about to beat Cody and Roman. And that's because I was just thinking where you could get the Mama Road slap. Like maybe they're saving it for Cody versus Rock one-on-one. You could have that moment there. Because I feel like they didn't pull off the whole Mama Roads thing, right? So you could pay it off.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that maybe you could do it. And what a moment that could be of Roman costing The Rock the title, and that leads to Mania. I think I just feel like the Mama Rhodes thing not happening feels very specific. I feel like all the people in that room are smart enough. They would have been, hey, how come she's not going to slap the Rock? Like that feels like such a easy spot they do all the time with like even Drew McIntyre's wife was in the crowd today, and she like CM Punk blew her a kiss. Like I feel like they're always really cognizant of that, so I think they might be saving it for stuff down the line now. So
Yeah, I could see The Rock being a challenger before Roman being a
yeah,
challenger because he technically has not beat the final boss.
true. And Rock pinned him, right? So that can be his claim too. That not only, of course, he's just like, hey, I'm the on the board, I can do whatever I want, but it is I've pinned the current WWE champion to the mat. He'll probably say clean, because it was whatever, like
Yeah.
no DQ in his world. But yeah, and I think we saw it this year where luckily Cody and Roman, that crowd was hot. I was so happy because that was my biggest concern after last year. Also, I didn't know the final boss was going to happen, all this stuff. But my biggest concern was, can they get the crowd that fired up? Because what I've used, for example, is HBK and Taker 2 and Cena and Rock 2 were, still maybe not so much Rock and Cena, but like still good matches. But like the crowd just wasn't there because the result was just kind of known, right? You knew Cena was going to
Yeah.
win. You knew HBK was hanging up. So there was like, it did not have that same juice the first ones did. So that was always my worry with this. But the crowd came to play. I saw multiple people press saying one of the reasons is it was a lot warmer and just felt like the crowd was way more alive. So maybe, I know they're talking about doing Minnesota, but maybe in the future they gotta, maybe it sucks because they want the money, but that was a common complaint from so many people last night. They were freezing, and tonight when they're warmer, you could see like the crowd felt way like alive the whole event this time. Where last night there were some times where they would sit out and go, okay, I'm too fucking cold to stand and raw
Yeah.
right now. So maybe they should think about some things like that. I don't know. It's tough, right, with money involved. So
Yeah, the crowd definitely seemed a whole lot more into it tonight. They got up on their feet more. They were more active. The chants tonight were on par now. Some of them were because people couldn't see for 2 matches.
oh my god, yeah. I've had
The
that happen to
other
me
was
too at
just
WrestleMania. It happens every year and you just think, can you test it out before? So I apologize to those people. That really sucks. I've been in that position where I think I was no, not AJ. I think it was
no.
like Randy and Kane for my Mania where I
I
was
was
there
about to
live and it was just like stop. I think it was like Kane's red lights were on for a extended time. So
I remember that being a thing, but this is twice, 5 years apart that it has happened to AJ. That I'm like AJ versus the lights is the feud that I didn't know that I was getting.
yeah, no, I just hopefully they test that out. But yeah. So do you think now? Because I think we're probably done with the main event. But if I think Jacob Fatu is signed, Fightful's like they got a very good track record. They're like the Hollywood Reporter variety of this business. Do you think that is an immediate? Because we are talking about this. Is this a Raw SmackDown where the Rock goes, you failed us, and it's we bring in Jacob, we bring up maybe Tama Tonga, like the Rock's crew, and which I do think I think there's money in a War Games of Bloodline versus Bloodline. Like imagine that poster of Rock and Roman, and then they got all like the family members that are divided. Like there's some stuff you could do there, but do you think this is something we immediately get the? Because we all know it's going that way. Do you think it is this week, or do you think that's something that's held off and Rock and Roman are just kind of gone for a bit and we pick up later?
I think both Rock and Roman are going to leave for a while. I think The Rock is going to be here probably for the next 2 weeks or so. And what he's going to do is, yeah, he's going to introduce your Jacob Fatus. He might even introduce Tamatanga, and you will get The Rock's bloodline.
Yeah,
And
I
their
love that.
their thing is to rebuild the
Yeah.
bloodline. And he says that they do a whole thing where they send Roman off. Hey, you need some time away to think about this. And The Rock says, I'm going to go away, but when I come back, you guys need to be back on top.
Okay, so not the immediate evolution, kill and break out. It's like fix this, and if you don't, I'll fix it for you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that too because I think Roman, I know he's part time, but like he still is he's easier to get than The Rock, so I agree with you because it's that. Maybe it's SummerSlam time, but I do think obviously there's probably going to be a year of Roman versus Solo, Roman versus some other bloodline people. In that situation too, where do you think they have Paul Heyman go? Does he stick with Roman or does he turn on Roman as well when the eventual turn does happen, whenever it does? And I'm asking these questions just in case we watch Raw tomorrow and Roman's bloody on the mat and this has already happened. So where do you think Paul goes in all this?
I think that Paul will go with Roman.
Yep.
And then I think that whoever ends up on top of the bloodline at the end of this story, that's where Paul goes. So originally
Okay.
he's going to go with Roman, but then he is going to side with whoever is
Oh,
left at the head of the table because he's the slimy character. He's the
yeah.
slimy
He did it to
person
Brock,
who,
right? He did it to Punk
yeah,
already. Yeah. That's gonna be a moment when, like, for some reason Roman needs a chair or something, and Paul doesn't give. Like, that's gonna. There's gonna be some good, and that's what we've always talked about. Rock and Roman does not need a title. The title is the tribal chief. Like, that is like head of the table, boss. Like, you don't need any of that. That's just, it's like when the Undertaker streak was pumping. It's just as important as the title, right? So
yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So we'll see. But yeah, if Jacob Fatu debuted, he's definitely, or if he's signed, it's definitely happening in the next little bit here. And I think some new members are good to give it some juice because it's Jay Solo and then Roman, who just lost. And I'm excited to see Roman. Roman's great at what he does, to play a new character of letting everyone down and losing in his ego. Like, he was so cocky and arrogant. I actually think even more than Cody and Roman, I think there's like a Road Roman Seth match potentially very soon too. And I think there's buckets and buckets of story they can really do there. You know, that's another
Yeah.
one. No, needs no title. So, is there anything you have left on the main event to say?
No, it's just, it was a perfect ending
Mhm.
to not only the story, but WrestleMania as a whole.
Yeah. What did you think of the overall night? Because we talked about this. So for you, night one, night two, what took it?
So for me, outside of the main event, the top match was Drew versus Seth, which really surprised me with how well it was. And they really went for the gusto with that. And I thought that it was gonna start off with the 5 second match, and like I was shocked for a second, like, oh my
Oh,
god, is this
yeah.
over already? And then Drew stopping halfway between to send out a tweet to say bored at work, LOL.
Oh my god, this gimmick is Drew McIntyre. We've all said it, but he's never been better. That was just priceless. The fact that he's tweeting during the match and then his follow up tweet later on, just the fuck. Like, this is Drew McIntyre is one of, like, I put him up there with Cody and Roman for interesting characters right now. He is killing it. That was so good.
Yeah, so it's just been great all around. And then Seth with the "you fucking deserve it" to end it
Yeah.
all right before the Damien cash in, and I'm like, "Jeez, this is something." And yeah, it was great, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the Damien cash in. Everything about this was just, it was dope. So that was my, outside of the main event, that was my match of the night. They started hot and they ended hot.
But so then you're saying the middle portion maybe was a bit of a lull for you then?
The middle portion was a lull, but not that it was bad. I think my lowest rated match was a 3 star, and
That's
that
not bad.
was
Yeah.
AJ and LA Knight. That's, I think part of what disappointed me was I got all this hype about AJ getting new music, and then you really didn't get anything with the music. I mean, he didn't even have time to really sit and marinate in the music. He
No.
was straight down to the ring now.
Yeah.
And then the biggest distraction was the crowd yelling at the lights and things
Yeah.
like that. And LA Knight got his needed win that was kind of presumed. And
Yeah.
then the Logan Paul, Randy Orton KO thing. Now, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens were just out there having absolute fun. They
Yes.
were enjoying themselves from the
It felt like a house
moment,
show, really.
yeah, that they walked into the ring and everything else. And then the crowd chanting Gatorade at Logan Paul and things like that. I had no idea who Logan's friend was. Like, they're
Oh, I
going off
know.
about this
We're
guy, and
old.
I'm like, I have no idea. I'm above 30. I don't know
Yeah.
who this guy is.
I'm so
So,
bad
but
with streamers. Like, there was like the most popular, like, or TikTokers. Like, I don't know any of these people. So, like, I hope people are enjoying this because I couldn't tell you this man. If you put a gun to my head right now, I think it's ISO speed or I show speed or something. But I was like,
yeah.
I couldn't name you a single thing he's done.
And then Bailey versus Io. I liked Bailey's entrance. I know some people didn't, but I love like Egyptian history, and the
Mm,
people who are watching it with, they are very huge on Greek culture. So I got some insight from there. Um, Io's weird little dance to the ring more looked like she was drunk than she was dancing to the ring. I'm not gonna lie, but the crowd was on fire for Bailey. There were some sloppy spots, but overall, some good wrestling. And again, Bailey got her moment. So, I mean, nothing to say about it. I thought that the um, Bobby and the Prophets versus Karrion Cross's group, it was the match itself was serviceable. Again,
Mhm.
great spots. Bubba popping Philly left and right, but
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg was the best part of that match. Like, so what's that say about the match? You had some great spots, but when the commentary steals the show on that match, and I'm spending too much time laughing out the outlandish things that are being said and the things in the ring, and AOP disappeared after like 5 minutes.
They got hurt. They got hurt. They got winded. They got gassed. Yeah. So where then overall on the nights? All right. What do you put over
For
night one versus
act
night two? Yeah.
actual wrestling and actual WrestleMania, night one took it for me, but
Mhm.
night two had a better start and stop. Like if I could take
Yeah.
a lot of
Okay.
the beats from night one, again, night two came out hard, ended hard, but there was that big lull in the middle. But you could tell, hey, we're just letting you guys rest because you know it's coming. We know it's coming. We all know it's coming. So let's not
Yeah.
just go too crazy.
There was something that I said in the Discord for me. It's like I still enjoyed the whole night, but it was just that waiting for the main event that was like, man, I'm on pins and needles. It's like something I'll have to go back and watch. But I think you put it a good way where it reminds me of like the Gunther and Sammy versus Rhea and Becky debate I have in my own head, and you were having that similar where I feel this is the first time that the nights are equal, but for different reason. I think night one did have like the better wrestling, but night two delivered on the spectacle and the WrestleMania moments. It's all like they'll never do this again, but it is almost like if you were to trim the fat and put night one and night two together, you could maybe have the greatest WrestleMania of like if you had the Becky Rhea match. You couldn't do the tag match, right? Because like you can't have Rock and Seth and Cody and Roman wrestling all in one, but there is like a way I can envision this all together. You take out a few things, and it could be one of the greats. But yeah, I don't know because it's tough for me now. For me, it's a different era. I can't compare the two night WrestleManias to the one nights. When everyone's like, "Oh, this is like the one of the greatest WrestleManias," I'll say, "Oh, it's one of the greatest two nights." But you can't compare night one and night two. I think it just, or sorry, like a one night to a two night. It's just weird. It's like it's hard to, I guess, you in your mind have to put the shows together. But then there's many times where we've seen like night two be very disappointing, and then even though night one's a banger, if night two's a disappointing, that should bring down the whole show, right? So it's a weird dichotomy. So for me, I kind of put the single shows by themselves and then the two nighters by themselves. But I would definitely say since the two nights have started, this is the best combo because I feel like night two's always under
Yeah.
delivered in some route. But I think I end up liking the AJ LA Knight match more, maybe because I had lower expectations. I just for some reason thought they might have a styles clash, no pun intended, but I thought they had like a good similar to like Jericho and Christian at 20 or like Orton and Undertaker at 21 where they're allotted their time, they got their stuff in. AJ Styles almost broke his neck on that German. Like he flipped, but he was like inches away from not flipping and it was over for him. Like
Yeah.
it was I was scared for him, but no botches or anything. So I enjoyed the match, but yeah, they rushed through. But kind of like the Jey Uso thing, you won LA Knight to get that at WrestleMania, the crowd, and they were fired up. And I think LA Knight is a guy that, other than the lights, it is like a crowd wake up thing, right? He'll come out, and the second the crowd gets uplifted, so I think it's smart where they placed it. So no, I actually end up liking that one a lot more. Like I don't know if I could go to a 4, but I think I might be like a 3.75 on that, somewhere around there. So I really enjoyed that. The street fight was what it was. You know, it was to promote gin and juice. You got Snoop Dogg, you know, and again, you do need those lulls in the card, so it provided that. You know, the Pride got a win. That's the way it should be. Like I don't think what are they, the Final Testament or the
Yeah.
yeah from the little I've seen of them, it's not. I don't know. I would prefer if AOP was just back in the tag division and doing that sort of stuff. So I hope they kind of go that route. And Karrion Cross, I don't know. There's an example of that's a guy that should be shaving his head all the time because when he has his head shaved, he looks like like he looks like a star. And nowadays, he just kind of looks like another guy. You know, like maybe he doesn't want the bald head, but there's something about that had something. So that was fine. I really liked Bailey and Io on the back half. I felt the first 5 to 7 minutes, it's like what commentators say all the time, but it legitimately felt like they were feeling each other out. There was a couple of like missteps, not botches, but just little things like, oh, okay, not there. But then I feel like the last 10 minutes, they really brought home some really great spots. That spot when Io did a moonsault and literally Bailey just stuck her feet up, not her knees, her feet. I was like, geez, that's how you know they're friends because they're trusting each other with a spot like that. Because that could again go completely topsy turvy and Io's really hurt, right? But I love that aerial assault of she hits her with the moonsault. That didn't do it, so she's gonna hit her with 3 moonsaults, standing, a second rope, a third rope. Bailey still kicking out. Like I really enjoyed the back half, so I really have to watch. I think I still give the edge to Rhea and Becky, but I think the back half was really well done, and that was just another one that delivered for me. Other than Seth and Drew, am I missing any other one that happened?
Let's see. We had Profits versus what is it? AJ versus LA Knight, Logan Paul,
Oh,
RKO,
right, that one.
13.
That's the other one I forgot to talk about
Yep.
before Drew, because we'll talk about Money in the Bank here in a second. I enjoyed it. I think I'm starting to become almost like the bloodline where I'm kind of getting bored of Logan Paul getting the brass knucks and always just one of his friends interferes. Because so far, since he's been in the title picture, that's the ending every time. You know, it's either brass knucks or it's a guy that's in the prime bottle. They interfere, they get their ass beat, and then Logan does a cheap win. You know, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of rinse and repeat. And I get it. I'm fine with him being the celebrity has to cheat to win. I just wish it would be there's dozens of ways he can cheat to win. You know, it doesn't have to just be prime bottle guy or brass knucks. Or I hate when it's like, oh, it's one of his posse people that we don't know. You know, it's just it's on. It's like I don't know this guy. So I like the match. I really like the setup of they beat Logan Paul down. And they were like, "Are we gonna fight now? Are we gonna like?" KO kept asking them, "Should we fight now? Are we gonna fight now?" And they're like, "No, no." And eventually, "Oh, we're doing this now, yeah." And then they just win and fought. So I really liked that. I almost think that obviously I know that hits like KO and Sam and stuff, but they might probably. I'm not sure who they would turn heel between KO and Randy. That could be coming, but I also thought KO and Randy like could have some potential as like a tag team. I think they got really good chemistry. That entrance was fun, so I liked the match. It was good. I think they had some good high spots. Randy with a really cool RKO with that pop up power bomb in the RKO.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that was good. That was like that Seth one 9 years ago, where if it goes wrong, you look really dumb. You know, it's just like you'll get the you fucked up chance, everything, but they pulled it off. I was very like so overall that one's still like a good. That for me was like above a 3, like a 3.25 where I enjoyed it, but I think I think they're just saving it for even he threw him out of the ring. I imagine at Backlash. I think maybe we'll get Randy and Logan. Whenever Logan decides to wrestle next, it's going to be I think just a singles match between the two, and I'm looking more forward to that to see because I guess I would count Seth, but I feel like other than Seth and maybe even KO, but I just feel like Randy is like kind of a different breed, right? And Logan hasn't faced, he's versed Ray, so I'm taking it back. He's versed all these great people already. I'm curious to see how Randy and him do together. He's an athletic guy, so Randy can really throw him around and do some fun
Yeah.
stuff. So
I'm I'm with you. I'm tired of the friends spot.
yeah,
And again, that may be because I'm in my 30s, so I don't know who half these friends are. But he's proved in the Rumble, and he's proved in other occasions that he can go in the ring. He has the ability, he has the agility, he has the conditioning. He can go in the ring. So let that be it. If you want to do either the I go for a weapon or I go for a friend, then fine. But doing both every match, just it gets a little bit too much
yeah.
for me. And like, I'm tired of seeing that be the way Logan wins. Who's going to be in the prime bottle this week?
Yeah, and I hope it goes away, especially because it'd be different to me if he was a celebrity that couldn't wrestle. He can wrestle. He's very athletic. It'd be different if it was somebody that was very limited, and it's like, okay, this is how we have to hide them. We always have to have interference, but they got have the guy go up against like Roman Reigns, and he like got close to beating him, right? Like they've made sure to go, oh, like he's like Kurt Angle. He's picked this up so well then just let him go. Let him cheat other ways. Let him pull the tights. Let him do a low blow. Let him do like a DQ himself. Let him do the nugs, of course, and a friend every once in a while. Maybe I would like it if those friends did start becoming Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, just so it's more WWE like, and I can have some like caring about who this person is. So again, we'll see. I think he's going to hold it. I'm in agreement that I think he's going to hold it till Cleveland, because I know some people think that he's going to challenge Cody. I don't. I don't think they want Cody to potentially get booed there. So I think you could even have Paul main event, but I think he's going to hold it to Cleveland. You agree there?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be the selling point of Cleveland, because when it comes to Cleveland, you've got him, Miz, and Johnny Gargano. Like those are your Cleveland boys,
Yeah.
and I like Johnny Gargano, but he's not selling a PLE. I love Miz, but he's not at this point. He's not selling a PLE. Like,
Yeah.
he's great, and people want to see him, and people love to see him and interact with him, but he's not selling a
Yeah.
PLE
He'll be
like
on the
that.
card. He'll be on the card for
Yeah,
sure, So,
but Logan Paul will sell a PLE. Like,
yeah.
he will sell it to the base of people who are just fleetingly familiar with it. He will get kids to get their parents to sign up for Peacock and everything else just to watch this.
Oh, like it is crazy. Like my 6-year-old daughter knows what a prime bottle is, and she shouldn't. I'm not a Logan Paul fan for among reasons stuff, but the guy and his team, they do a great job of getting him out there and stuff. I will say we never talked about this in any of the night reviews. The prime bottle in the middle of the ring was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was happy they didn't do the colored version. If they did the colored of the
Yes.
blue and red, I think we were screwed. But the black and white version, that was fine. If they can keep them like that, I know you had. I was gonna say, give you a moment before we end off with the Money in the Bank. You had a problem with probably more of the other promotional stuff, because the ring and the aprons and the barricades, they changed throughout the whole match, and we got wings. Dude, what was that thing? Was it dude meat or something like that, or
Dude,
dudes?
it's dude wipes.
Du-
It's male flushable toilet wipes.
Male flushable toilet wipes. I don't know why that's needed, but uh, it was so funny. Like Drew's having this moment. He's just won the title, and he's standing there, and over his shoulder is dude wipes, and that's where it's like, oh, like I don't like it at all. But it's much like we have on Geekverse. You pay the bill, so I completely get that, right? But I do agree with you. Sometimes it was a bit much. But yeah, what were your opinions on? Because this was the most we've ever seen promotional wise on WWE Ring and around.
This is the most we've ever seen it. I did find it funny, though, that they have both Prime and C4 as sponsors, and they are both
Yeah.
energy drinks. That is hilarious to me. I'm like, pick a lane, but I'm used to, okay, for the last probably year and a half or so, they've been having one sponsored match.
Triple H just announced that C4 is the official energy drink of WWE. So just to your point, it's like they have a Prime bottle, but they just like, and I thought for sure Prime would be it, because they're already that way with UFC, right? So I thought, oh, TKO, UFC. I thought we're sure gonna get some Prime announcement, but I guess C4 paid more money, because that's funny. Yeah, just announced 3 minutes ago, Triple H says C4 is the official energy drink of WWE. So there you
Yep, see. Um,
go.
it, I'm used to one match being a sponsored match, the Slim Jim match and things
Cinnamon
like
Toast
that.
Crunch last year, when you had a father beat his child during Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That was a choice.
During cereal time, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm used to it being one, but every single match, and then I do need somebody in their corporate office to kind of look and see which matches they choose, because now this is me being someone who's biracial.
You're not
having
wrong.
having the all black women's match be the match sponsored by the wing place, and then
Yeah.
having the Latino match be the one sponsored by a Mexican energy drink. I'm
Some people
just
brought that
like,
up again tonight too, gin and juice for the pride and everything like that. But because
yeah,
it's new, like to me that one wasn't as bad, because like, and I can't speak white bread guy over here, but that was just because where else would you put Snoop on the card, right? For me, that one was like, I don't want him out there. I guess you could do something fun with him in LA Knight, but I don't want him out there for Bailey and EO. I don't want him out there for Seth and Drew, and I don't want him out there for the main. I guess you could have fit him in the Logan Paul too. Like they could, so they could have, but I guess that was the prime one, right? So you couldn't have him do gin and juice, and you can't. I guess you can't do LA Knight, right? Because he's the Slim Jim guy, right? So that one made sense. But the ones yesterday, those were a bit like red flag. Like did no one
eh.
catch this? No one say anything?
N-
Just swap the
n-
two. Just swap them, and it's fixed.
yeah, seriously, that is all that needs. I if you're gonna do it, okay, but just kind of look at the optics of when you're doing it and maybe switch it up. And again, my feeling about it is if you want to do it on the mid card match is fine. I don't think for a Cody match or something like that, you need the sponsorships. Just leave that off.
I agree.
Let those
But the
moments be
main,
those
yeah.
moments, because when we look back on those pictures and we look back on everything, to see those sponsorships around the ring is a little bit like that's not the memory that you want of
Yeah.
that.
I felt like even on purpose tonight when he kissed the mat, he kissed the mat over the prime ball. Like I felt like last night he went to kiss it, and I was like, oh, I'm already here. But I just felt like it was a conscious effort. Maybe I read completely into that, but just felt like for the big match, the title match, he's gonna be past the prime bottle and kiss the ring, you know. So
Yeah.
I get it. So yeah, I think it also depends on the color too, because like I think that wing spot, I can't remember which one was white, and it was bright, and it was like almost glaring. Where it's like, okay, this is not taking me out, but it is distracting, and I think that's where
it was
pick the color scheme.
super. The wings one was super bright, and
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
And then finally, for the match that you talked a little bit about, but I haven't, and then we'll just theorize a bit more. We have Seth and Drew. Yeah, like you said, right away. God, why am I forgetting Drew's finish? What the hell's the kick? God. Claymore kick. Yeah, hit him off that 5 seconds. I thought, yeah, we're going to Daniel Bryan Sheamus situation. But we didn't. They were going finisher heavy fast. I joked in the Discord. It was like a Brock match where Brock near the end was just like, it's either a German and that's it. Sam, I drink woo energy like an adult. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Sbubbs. Prime is a hydrogen, not hydration, not hydrogen. Prime has hydrogen in the bottle. No, Prime's hydration, not energy. Okay, hydration.
There was a lawsuit that they could not call themselves an energy drink.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
Yes, they cannot legally call themselves an energy drink.
Okay, so that's why. One is the official hydrogen or hydra. Oh my God, it's getting late. Hydration drink, and the other is the official energy drink, I guess. So, okay, there you go. Fine, I understand now. That's sure, Jan. Whatever you want to tell, but yeah. So Drew and Seth, they're going crazy. They're both hitting pedigrees, which Seth twice goes for the pedigree on his bad knee. It's a little questionable, but whatever, he does it. I thought this was good. I thought this was. I get what they were going for, because it felt like, I'm not saying they were cut on time, but I guess we've gone matches with them before, and this is probably not the last one. So I was fine with it being a little different. I usually don't love the finisher off. I don't love the video game matches where it is just, I know people might laugh because like I watch AEW, but like even some stuff in AEW that it goes past a point, right, where it's like, yeah, this is too much. So that was a bit much, but I think it was fine with Seth being injured, with what they wanted to do with Drew. So they went heavy on that. Drew got the win, and I did not think that was going to happen. I thought Seth was going to get the win. I think that even added to Cody winning later, because they added that, like, well, Seth was screwed and he lost, so Cody. I was sold, though, when Seth did that moment of saying, you fucking deserve it, and they had this moment. They're both head nodding, which I love, because Drew's kind of like a tweener and Seth respects him. I didn't think the cash in was happening then, because it was like a nice moment of like, okay, they're letting Drew still gets this moment. He gets to win finally in a crowd, not in some fucking warehouse. Good for him. He gets the big pop. Great moment with his wife when he got on his knee and like presented her the championship. Like, that was just really cool. And then, much like Roman, out of the corner of his eye, he sees CM Punk, and he cannot help himself. He gets on the table, saying good stuff of like, here, take a photo of this. I want to remember this forever. Like, it was so good. He's mouthing off at Punk, and he's like, Punk's like, I can't hear you. I got cans on. Like, all back and forth was so good.
Punk was so great during that whole exchange, just sitting back there like, yep, keep on talking.
Yeah.
I did like Drew's slow turn. He celebrates it, and then he just serious and turns and looks. I did get kind of weirded out when he slid the title on the table and then start crawling across the table.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some fanfic now of CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. That was very central, the way Drew was moving there.
I was like, what in the erotic thriller is going on here?
Yeah.
And then
he is obsessed with Punk, though, right? So maybe he's truly obsessed. He wants Punk in many different ways, because even last week it wasn't the same. But remember when Seth walked across him or found him backstage, and he he had his leg up and his kilt was up and everything. Like I think Drew is on purpose now making his character have some sexual vibes, which is not what I would envision. Like, oh, I need a little gold dust in my character. Like, not what I envision, but it does. Like, it becomes memorable, right? Because when he's crawling, you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is about to happen here? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So it was weird, but yes, CM Punk coming out, and then CM Punk's face during the entire cash in was just hilarious.
Oh, legendary shot of he takes his arm thing off. He's beating Drew up with it. He's kicking him, and then CM Punk they have it to his back, and he's beating Drew McIntyre up, and then the music goes off, and the cameraman swings around to CM Punk, and then CM Punk just smiles because it's exactly. I was wrong about Seth. I was wrong about Gunther, but I did say this morning. I said if Drew wins, I think the setup is, and I thought they could do it with Seth too. Is Drew, like Punk screws him over, and that's what was great. Is like Punk smiles and he goes back to kicking him. It wasn't like a oh what did I do? It was like a yeah screw you buddy. Like you got in my face and I cost you the title the moment, and that's like such a Punk move, and it goes towards their feud. Like man, Drew and Punk, that match is that's gonna feed families as they say. But we talked about also this morning. I think Sbubbs he couldn't join us. He'll be on the next episode whenever we do that. If we do a bonus, we won't get him on there so we can get his thoughts. But we all said that if Damian cashes in and loses, you got to split Judgment Day because it's like, what else do you do? You're looking weak, but they gave the big man from Puerto Rico, came in there. I'm goshing him right now. This big, whatever the sit out choke slam, I guess he does. He does that to Drew, gets the 1, 2, 3. He held on it for 10 months. David, you thought it was going to happen tomorrow, so it happened 24 hours earlier. But what did you think about the actual cash in and also Damian Priest, the World Heavyweight Champion? How are you feeling about that?
Uh, I'm okay with it 'cause, again, I knew it was going to happen. I thought they were going to give Drew just a little bit more time to bask in the glory of his win. But I mean, technically, it's still a win. It still
Yeah,
goes on the book. He
he
still
got
won in
that
front of
pop, right?
people. Yeah, he got to experience it. He got to cheer for a good solid 3-4 minutes with the crowd and everything else. He got to present it to his wife and everything before they took it away. I did love the cash in. I love the image of Judgment Day at the end looking strong again. Him and Rhea both holding the world heavyweight titles for Raw. So it's going to be a good Monday night for the Judgment Day. And I
Yeah.
think it leaves something strong. So if Cody is going to SmackDown or however they're going to do it with the draft coming up in a month, if he does end up staying on SmackDown, then you leave someone strong. You leave Judgment Day running Raw and looking strong in doing so.
Yeah, I was really happy the whole Judgment Day was out there. One, I thought it was actually a genuine moment when they all just hugged at the stage. Like it didn't feel like one of those like, oh, I'll get out. Like it felt like this was like they were very happy for him, and it seemed like they're all friendly. I just mean like they just took a moment not even to play the cameras. It was just them hugging for 5 seconds. You couldn't see it in their faces. It's like this doesn't make necessarily good TV for like, oh, you need the perfect shot, but it makes great TV for, oh, you can feel this is a big moment for them, and it's great. Them all behind them posing and stuff. There's a great shot of Rhea and him to hold up the titles. So yeah, I think this is the juice it needs. Especially, I'm hoping Seth maybe takes a little break. Like has some time to recoup because that guy's been working hard. But I could see whether it's Backlash, I could see it could go many ways because Drew is a tweener, right? You could easily make him semi more babyface, but I think you're going to get at least Seth and Drew or Seth and Damian. And I wonder, I'm not sure if you agree, but I think the play might be as long as he resigns that I could see Drew beating Damian at the Clash at Castle. I could see it going there. And my prediction is this is bold, like a year out almost, but I'm going to say that Punk is going to beat Drew at the Royal Rumble for the title, and Seth's going to win the Royal Rumble. That way, Punk only has to hold the title for a month and a half. They'll make sure he doesn't wrestle, so he doesn't get injured or anything like that. They'll play it real safe, and then I think you could have Seth and Punk next year, and you get Seth to beat him. That's how he gets the title back. But who do you think challenges him first, and then what do you think is at the match at Clash of Castle, Damian and Drew, or do you think it's going to be some other combination?
Oh, it's got to be Damian
Yeah.
and Drew at Clash of the Castle. I mean, I think that is going to be. They gave Drew the WrestleMania spot with the crowd because he didn't have his before, but the actual coronation is going to be at Clash of the Castle. That pop is going to be tremendous. I mean, look at what happened last year in the ovation that they got at Clash of the Castle. Now, this one being in Scotland, it's going to be just crazy loud. So I think that's going to be his coronation. I think he's going to chase for a while, but that's going to be it. I'm not sure where you go with your first challenger to Damien right now.
Yeah, because I guess
It,
it could be Seth though, right? Because if he just lost, that would be weird to have Seth go before Drew.
it
I
depends on how injured Seth really is, and if
Yeah.
him and Becky are going to take some time off, just go off, be with their daughter for a while, not being on the road.
Also, could be, remember, if we got the draft, they could just have Damian mess around for a little bit, and then someone from SmackDown come over and get a shot or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like, you know, I'm
he,
fine if it's just a random. We're gonna do a fatal 4-way on some Raw, and it's just like a new story. I'm completely fine if right away it's not Drew or Seth, because I'm so happy the rematch clause thing is gone, because that was always such a clutch for WWE and Vince, because he loved rematches. I'd be fine if it was, we're gonna take 4 guys, put them in a match, and then just get a win, because Damien's not gonna like. I'm sorry, Damien's not main eventing Backlash. That's going to be Cody, right? So it's not like Damien has to have like the hottest angle. Where Clash of Castle, he can, and it's like Chamber, where like Rhea is a bad guy, but if you have her go up against Nia, she's another bad guy. So it's the same thing as Drew and Damien, where Drew's like a bad guy, but he gets to be the babyface at Clash of Castle, right?
yeah, and right now you've got a month to the draft. There's going to be some call-ups. This is the perfect time to do some type of tournament just to fill your month.
Yeah.
You don't have to have any title defenses really up until after the draft. Just have some type of tournament to fill your month for a number one contender, and let that be just a nice little placeholder.
Or even like, I know they haven't done this before, but just have the person who wins King of Rings, so you also get a world title shot too. And that would be, to me, I'd want that more than the fucking crown. They did that. I don't know if they did that multiple times, but remember, that's how Brock got it in 2002. He beat Rob Van Dam, and that's how he got to The Rock. And that's why it made sense for, hey, how does this guy who's been around for under 6 months get a title shot? Well, he won a tournament, right? So if someone wins, and I guess that's probably pretty far, right? Because that's May, I guess, at like later May. So, but even then, I'm talking about for other potential contenders, just have that. The person wins King of Ring, they get the trophy, they get the bag, and they also get a shot Damien, and have like Chad Gable win King of the Ring, and have like a really underdog match where he gets close to winning the world title or something, you know? So, but yeah, I'm very curious. Raw now is super hot because Cody says he's going to be on both shows, so that's going to happen. Drew, I think, is going to cut a fantastic promo tomorrow. I cannot wait. And then he's going to cut a fantastic promo the next week because he's going to have that all-in footage. And man, Drew just can't wait. He's salivating at that. We're getting a Damien and whatever Judgment Day fall up there, so that'll be good. Seth, I think, could give a take as if he's on Raw or not. Like you said, I could see him taking just some time off right off the hop. That like both him saying that to Drew and shaking Cody's hand felt like almost like a goodbye for now, and then have him come back and get hot. Yeah,
I think he might do an actual, not farewell, but see you down the road on Raw. I think that could come from Seth actually coming out and telling us, hey, I've been working injured. I was a workhorse champion. I did my best to elevate this champion to give you guys a fighting champion. Now it's someone else's turn. I'm going to go away for a while, get healed up, but I promise you I'm coming back for this belt.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get better. I'll get stronger. And what the hell's the stupid 2 nicknames? The Revolutionary or whatever.
The Visionary.
The Visionary. The Revolution. Yeah, it's like I hate. Oh, it's a cool entrance too. We forgot to talk about that, but cool entrance with all the band people and the Where's Waldo situation. But yeah, no, that was cool. But yeah, Damien. Hey, congrats to Damien. He was pegged as one of those guys that was maybe gonna lose it. I think people. He even said that at the presser. The few minutes I saw, he's like, I didn't even know he said I didn't even know if I was gonna have a job here at one point. During Judgment Day. So, and what a long ride for Judgment Day, starting with him, Rhea, and Edge to all where it is now. And I hope let Damien run for a little bit. You have Cody as the top guy. Damien doesn't have to carry the company. He doesn't have to be like. Of course, you want a guy to move merch and tickets and everything, but let him run. I hope it's not like Edge first cash in where Damien has it, backlash, he gets beat, and then it's over, right? Like, I actually would prefer if he held the Clash of the Castle and let him have a run, because then he's dependable. Either he has a great run and you go, hey, in the future we could do this again, or it's, this is not really Damien's spot. Like, he is a better, more middle ground, I don't want to say B plus player, but could be,
Yeah.
right? So this is because if you give him a month, not going to do anything. Cody's on top. Cody's fine. I don't think do you think we any direction as far as who could challenge Cody first tomorrow? I feel like tomorrow's just Cody celebration time tomorrow in speech. I don't know if there's I don't think they set anything up really.
I I'm not sure if they set anything up right now. If they do, I'm praying it's Gunther.
Right off the hop, eh? Gunther comes out and beats
If
him night one.
I want him to be I want his first challenge to be a strong challenge. I don't
Yeah.
want it to be a situation where his first that this doesn't need to be a hey, I beat Big Show in a dark match as my first.
Dom Mysterio wins a battle royal, and gets the first shot at Cody. Yeah, I agree. Because that is, for all the people that are massive Bloodline fans and Roman fans, that is the biggest thing. People said, well, you don't want to take the title off Roman because the story's so good, you don't want to end it. You do not want to make Cody's run. And I trust in Triple H and everybody. If this was Vince, I wouldn't. Because even to that point, remember when Daniel Bryan, like his first challenger was like Kane after WrestleMania 30, right? It's like, Kane, like, this is the best we got for him right now is like corporate Kane, and like he switched back and forth. Like, you need somebody believable but strong. Obviously, I don't think they're gonna win, but that is the biggest challenge for them now is they have to make maybe not better than the Bloodline, but they have to keep him as interesting as a character as Roman. And now you can't have it feel like a step down. And if I agree, if it's like a Big Show, a Dom, a JD, even like to me, like this is what I hate saying, like even if it's a Finn Balor, because I could see Finn Balor coming out tomorrow being like, oh, my brother Damien has a belt and now I gotta get a belt too. Like, you gotta get somebody, and if it is Finn, okay, but then the challenge is you gotta heat this fucking guy up. I actually think it could be some sort of babyface, and in my mind, I guess they want to do Logan and Randy, but I would just pivot and have Randy do the heel turn sooner rather than later, because that's a story that you got at least 4 to 6 months in. Cody and Randy is like that gets you a while because there's so much
Yeah.
to pick apart there. So
And if you're gonna do the Cody and Randy, let it simmer, let it
yeah,
have some heat that builds up, bring back some of the old stories and things like that. Because that would be my fear. If this was the Vince era, then Cody would win it, and then tomorrow night Randy would be challenging him, and he gets beat by a WWE homegrown talent.
yeah. Oh my
Just
god, yeah.
just to be like, just
WWE.
remember we're better.
Yeah, just like Sting and Triple H, right? I watched WrestleMania not too long, last weekend. That was that situation where he just forced it to be WWE versus WCW, but we are in a new era. I can say that, and that's the best thing. Where this does feel, they give you no excuse now, and even people like myself, where it's like, oh well, there's this, well there's this. They did multiple great things this weekend on both nights. I think they really did, I think, a great job of capturing new fans and capturing people like myself, because I started watching more Raws and SmackDowns since probably Rumble, because when Cody won, I was getting hyped up, and it's been good with The Rock and everything. But now, and that's what happens. You get my money now. You get my attention. You get me to buy merch, where I haven't full-time watched since 2019. And I think a lot of us around that time, maybe if you still watch full-time, you weren't as invested. I still think that's how AEW became, because people just needed a break from the Vince era, right? And this does feel, we forgot to mention, Stephanie came out, said it's the Paul Levesque era, put him over huge. It was great to see her back. Def Rebel destroyed her theme song, but that's a topic for another day. One day we'll do a full topic on Def Rebel and what they've done. But I think this was all around, I don't know where it ranks as far as WrestleManias, but as far as best weekends or just days for WWE, this is a top tier, top 5 one as far as success, quality, and just I imagine growth. I imagine they got a lot of people with them here. In a past era, they might have not been able to, and I think this is a good start. I'm ready. I'm ready for this ride. I'm excited to see what they can do. I don't need the Attitude Era. I need whatever this new era is. Show me what else you can do. And I like the Attitude Era, but I just mean, like, I like that there's swearing and blood, but I don't need those things. What it comes down to is great characters and stories. They got that now. So yeah, David, what are your final thoughts on this weekend and WWE and the whatever the era will be, Paul Levesque Renaissance? But what are your thoughts on this whole weekend?
I'm hoping that they continue in this era. They continue to implore a lot more wrestling along with their entertainment and make wrestling entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see. and that's what's going to bring me in. It For the longest time, I used to tell people, Wednesday nights was the one wrestling show I had to watch live. The
Same.
others,
Yep.
I can catch on replay, or I
Next
can the
day, you could
next
skip a
day,
couple. I don't need to
yeah,
see this
get to
jobber
see some
match.
YouTube clips or whatnot. But
Yep.
now I'm like, man, I need to see what's going to happen on Monday. Like I that's going to be my premium watching now, and I'm excited for that. On a odd note, I think this goes down as the first WWE event where we saw a contracted AEW employee in the ring.
Who was in the ring?
-1.
Oh, right.
You
Oh my
technically
god.
saw a contracted AEW employee
No,
in
you're
the
right.
ring.
That's a great loophole. That's fantastic. That's great. You know what I love, wrestling fans, even their most happiest moment, they can still sometimes just be bitter fucks. The fact that Bruce Pitcher, when he started to walk down, some people booed. It's like, man, it's just everyone celebrate. It's just Cody wanted him down there. We didn't even talk about that. Triple H fully knighted him. That was like, to me, it is like Cody's his guy. This is the Vince and Austin, not on the feud wise, but I mean, like, that's going to be his star for the next. Cody says he's not retiring at 40. I think the age is 45. That's 7 years. To me, that's like 3 years to be the guy, 3 years to put over new talent, and then 1 year to do the send off. And I'm not saying he has to go by 45. I'm just saying, like, that to me is like a guy being on top at 7 years. Like Stone Cold was only on top for like 3, and then he got injured, right? It's like,
Yeah.
not saying the shelf life, but like wrestling is tough. So it's not like him being past 40 is oh man, that's only a few years. It's like, no, like some of the best were only on top for even Rock. Like I'd say he got his hottest at 99, and he was out of there at 02, So it's just like, in our minds, because we used to watch it weekly, it feels like so much longer, but really it was a couple of years, and then there's a new top guy, right? So I feel like even if he were to retire at 40, that's still 2 to 3 years from now. That's enough time to be the guy, set up new people. And if you look at fucking NXT, they got a crop of really good people coming their way. Like, look at Trick and Carmelo already. Like, that two right there, that's like a 1A, 1B of guys that could be the next gen, right? So I think, and we reviewed NXT, you can go check that out previously this morning, but that's why overall, in general, I think they hit a home run, and wherever the ball went, they ran, they hit it again and hit another home run. Like they cleared it. And that's the same thing. The last point is, not every Raw and SmackDown is going to be amazing. Not every match is going to be amazing, but if you can get the overall package to send people home happy or intrigued, then that's what you got to do. And yeah, Sam, like that's the thing when you said, make you want to start watching, I would say next Raw, give it a shot. I'm not sure if you've watched or go back and watch WrestleManias, and this is, like I said, coming from me, that I stopped in 2019. I went cold turkey. I said I'd watch like the big 4 or 5, maybe a pay-per-view if it intrigued me before Cody came back. Like I'd say give it a chance, because it does feel, I'm not saying everything's perfect, but it feels like this does feel like the beginning of something new, which is very exciting to be, because I don't know when that's, God, I don't know last time that really happened. You could argue, I guess, 21 with Batista and Cena. I guess that is, but like I was so young, I didn't have that cognizant. Like we talked about before with Brian and other things, it wasn't a new era. That was just, hey, this guy's champ for a bit. This feels like this is something different.
Wrestling feels fresh again. It
Yes.
feels absolutely fresh.
It also feels like, which is the best example, because what you don't want, hey, I watch wrestling, and then there's like, oh, you watch wrestling. It does, like, I know The Rock has said it, but it does feel cool again. And I'm not saying like, oh, sorry, I'll take that back. WWE feels cool again. There's been times where New Japan, AEW, wrestling has been cool, but WWE hasn't been fully cool in many years. They've had cool things and cool superstars, but to be overall, there was always a sense of, man, yeah, they got a lot of bad stuff going on there. And it's because the guy was ripping up scripts like 2 minutes before showtime. You can't plan that way, So yeah, this was a fun weekend. I think Sbubbs, he couldn't be here for this one, but he'll be on the next episode whenever we do that. Thank you, Dave, we just did the first episode a couple weeks ago, but I thank you for joining me for this one and then the one earlier. This was lots of fun, because this for me, I'm much more enjoying having you guys to talk wrestling with on air and talk about theories and stuff. And yeah, this was a good time.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. It's good to get my full thoughts out there with someone else rather than just blowing up Twitter.
Oh yeah, Twitter or bottle up. And before we go, I will find the final ranking. SBub has the score somewhere. Where for our draft? I forgot to update us this morning, but I will update. Where is it? There's a point value somewhere. But at least, David, you had a very rough night one. Night two was good for you because Damien got that cash in. So Damien, I think, saved you. I think Sbubbs is in the lead right now. I'll have to find where. Oh, here it is. So
Uh,
it's. Oh, go ahead.
no, I just found it same time you
Okay,
did.
yeah, yeah. So it's Sbubbs in first place at 38 because he had Cody in two mains. He had Cody win the title. He had a lot of people on tonight. Myself at 30 at second place and David at 12. But that is good considering you were like -8 at one point. Like I think that's a really good place to be. Where at one point you were looking. It was a rough night one. Again, we're going until we've
Yeah.
decided to Elimination Chamber. That's going to be the end point because not to end on Raw and SmackDown. So we got, this is the first week out of the 52 years or 50 years or 50 years, 50 weeks. But yeah, I was happy with my people. But yeah, Damien, he brought you back.
Yeah, and I just need Damien to rock that thing for a while, and I need R-Truth to.
Not a night one loss tomorrow Wrestlemania to Drew or a fresh CM Punk. He's like, oh, I'm cleared, and then GTS 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, if you're gonna lose to someone, I need you to lose to someone else on my
Your team,
list.
yeah. That's what we're all hoping for. So yeah, the competition has begun. The draft, all of them points here. We will see what happens. So yes, thank you to everyone that listened. Thank you to all 67 of you watching right now. Very, very fun time. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Not sure when the next episode will be. Like I said, we talked about maybe either later on this week or early next week. We might do a bonus one because of depending on what happens with the all-in footage and other stuff. So and the same thing, we're on SmackDown. They could be fire. So as usual, just follow GeekVerse on Twitter or go on our Discord, and we'll announce a couple days ahead because as right now it's monthly. But yeah, this is a good time. Thank you very much for everybody that tuned in. Promise you, when you hear from us next, it'll not be boring.